Nigeria's eNaira was developed by fintech company Bit, whose digital currency management system is also behind the East Caribbean CBDC. Joining us now to discuss Nigeria's CBDC rollout is Olumide Adesina, a Nigeria-based investment trader and contributor to CoinDesk, with an article out now called Nigeria's CBDC, the Good, Bad, and Ugly. So great to have you on the show, Olumide. So the eNaira Speed Wallet and eNaira Merchant Wallet are now available for download on Google and Apple on the app stores there to use the Nigerian eNaira. Have you downloaded it? What is the status of the rollout, and how do people in Nigeria feel about using the eNaira?
Yeah, I think the positivity around the CBDC is very high. Don't forget that it was supposed to be launched on October 1st, coinciding with the Independence Day of Nigeria's 61st Independence Day. But because of the demand on the platform, about 1 million each within an hour. So I felt the Apex Bank felt the need for it to go back to their drawing boards, because their initial plan was for a pilot program to allow this asset across many regions. But you see, the interesting thing you need to understand is that the CBDC is a very good idea based on data. You need to understand that a growing amount of Nigerians are unbanked, and in a country of 200 million people, where you see not so much exposure in the banking industry, then you start feel disturbed. And you need to understand that Bitcoin, in terms of Bitcoin interest, Nigeria happens to be the only country in the world with the highest, according to Google Trend, it has a perfect score of 100%. So I think the Apex Bank, with some of their analysts, felt the need for this to come in. So basically, the eNaira is for transaction, and because of the ban, there's no direct relation with the traditional crypto market. So we are seeing that the eNaira exclusively will be used for transactions in areas where you see low banking infrastructure. And one good thing about it is that it doesn't really need the internet, so it has offline capability. So the president, in a moment, would unveil the eNaira in the Nigerian capital city.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to have you here on this very important day. So I guess the question is, you just mentioned two things. One is that Nigeria really is one of the Bitcoin capitals of the world. And two, they're rolling out this central bank digital currency. And you also mentioned that the government has banned various aspects of cryptocurrency. So is this central bank digital currency an attempt to kind of like replace Bitcoin, or to get people less interested in Bitcoin? And do you think that will be successful?
Yeah, I think from a financial regulatory perspective, I think that's the initial plan, because you need to understand in 2020, remittance dropped by 27%, and that was partly due to the fact that we saw a growing amount of young Nigerians using crypto assets for transactions. And also, you need to understand that the exposure of crypto assets across young Nigerians is so high that you see the likes of Binance, FTX, and other leading crypto exchanges setting up offices in Nigeria. So the fact that we are seeing that it felt the wisdom, the Apex Bank felt the wisdom that the traditional banking industry were losing the remittance volume, and they need to see other ways at which they could block money laundering channels. So they felt that they needed something that they could supervise. So the eNaira was a no-brainer, though the eNaira was something that was in the works for about 4 years ago. But I felt the crypto ban movement. So I think that in the long run, I think the financial inclusion will gain traction, because see, the eNaira acceptability looks interesting, because despite we see growing amount of crypto enthusiasts being critical about the project, we're seeing growing amount of Nigerians interested in the platform. And also, you need to see that Nigerian tier one banks are already recruiting people in the crypto space. There are already vacancies around blockchain developers, and that is very interesting. So it tells you that the CBDC that seems to be a rival to the blockchain, to Bitcoin, the traditional crypto market, is somehow going to support, because now we're going to see people in the traditional crypto space seeking to be part of the CBDC. But I think in the long run, questions will be asked, because first of all, we don't know. We don't need to use a local we have a form of social security number, which we call the BVN, biometric verification number. So we need to understand how that will take, whether it's necessary to use the eNaira. Though the central bank has said that you don't need to have an account, a bank account, to run the eNaira. So it's really going to see how the adoption will be. But I feel that there's a lot of positivity around the market. And to tell you how the positivity is so strong, a lot of Nigerian dailies are already awaiting the launch of the eNaira. And that tells you that this is something that is been very spontaneous. This is one of the brightest products the CBN has created in a very long while. So I feel that it's a win for the crypto community, though a lot of Nigerians are still upset the fact that they can't really buy their crypto assets at the price you see on Coinbase, and that's because there is a crypto transaction banned by the Apex Bank. So it makes it almost impossible for financial institutions to deal directly with the crypto market. So Nigerians have to buy these things through P2P, peer-to-peer, and most of the time the prices are inflated. So that's the problem Nigerians are having with the regulator. So the CBDC might seem to be very interesting, but some Nigerians are not buying the fact that they ban the traditional crypto assets.
One question about the CBDC, and you mentioned this in your op-ed, or one of the dangers of a central bank digital currency is privacy, right? That the government can kind of see your transactions. And how big a concern is that in Nigeria? And also, has Nigeria's CBDC had any influence from China? Do you think that the Nigerian government has dealt with the Chinese government at all in terms of getting advice on the technology?
I think from the financial industry, I think despite the fact that a growing amount of businesses get loans from China, I think they're closer to the Americans and the British than ever before. So most of the time, you see that most of the established American brands set a stronghold in the Nigerian ecosystem. It's just surprising we don't have Coinbase exposure in our market. But having said that, I think there is no direct relationship with the Chinese because the service provider BIT is a Caribbean company, and I've not seen any Chinese player in the ecosystem yet. And you also need to understand that we don't really have any Chinese domiciled bank in Nigeria. So that also tells you that that bias seems to be exaggerated. But having said that, I think a lot of people are concerned about the fact that government can use such to attack their privacy. Because you need to understand that, for example, a number of protesters' accounts were closed during the NSAS, during the fight against police brutality, and a lot of people felt the need that that government is becoming powerful with this kind of instrument. But you need to understand that one of the problems facing Africa's biggest economy is the fact that we kind of have loose cash flow system. So what I mean by that is that a lot of people use the system to launder money, and that's why the Apex Bank felt the need for to tighten things across spectrum. You know, running an account in China from abroad, you have a maximum of $50,000 per citizen, but in Nigeria we don't have such limit. So the Apex Bank is trying to use its resources to try and restore financial stability, knowing full well that COVID-19 has disrupted the energy market, where Nigeria solely benefits from, because about 75% of Nigerian earnings come from crude oil, and such exposure has made Nigeria suffer big time when broke Nigeria's key markets like India, China, and the Americans. So the CBDC on the privacy level, I think, would somewhat make some concerns, but the Apex Bank has promised that no data will be stored on the blockchain. So let's wait and see.